Hello, everybody. This is Melisha with Love for Life Wellness. I hope everyone is having a great day and has had a good week. We are on with Emily Allen today. She is going to be our guest for our Sister to Sister broadcast, and we're so excited to have her here today. If you know what I do, I'm going to get a watch party going if I can and make sure everything is working where it needs to be. Let me make sure that it's where I need it to go. And then we can start this party. Okay, let's see. Okay, wonderful. It's there. I'm getting better at it, Emily. So, but I got to turn this one down. I got to turn this down so I don't hear that. Okay, so hello, everybody. This is Melisha with Love for Life Wellness. I am so excited to have you on today. We're going to have a great show talking about women's health issues. I just want to ask everybody, how's everybody doing? I haven't been on very much talking about the COVID-19. I know everybody's bombarded with the news and all the information that's coming out, but I just hope everybody is safe. And I've just been praying so hard for those that are sick, our front line, our nurses, our doctors, our emergency firemen, EMTs, they are all working so hard. Here in Missouri, where I am, we don't have it as bad, but I have family in New York. I have my son's in Seattle. I can't go see my granddaughter, and my parents live in California. So this is affecting everybody. And so I hope everybody is being safe, wearing your mask, washing your hands, and being very, very careful. This is nothing to play with. And, it's not like the flu. I'm sorry. And it's dangerous. And so don't get it twisted. This is dangerous. You have to take care of yourself, especially if you have any underlying conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, asthma. I have asthma, so I have to be extra careful with my asthma or my respiratory illnesses. And so, you can't play around with that. People are dying, but I'm so glad you're here. Just know that you're in my prayers. And if you need some assistance, if you need some help, contact me. I am more determined than ever for this to be a nation, for me to help as many people as I can with their health issues. And so I don't want to see anybody sick. And so you contact me or you contact Emily, and we'll be happy to help you so that you don't have to get sick, and you don't have to be sick. And we want everybody to be well. So, but greetings. And I think I'm going to do a special show maybe on diabetes, because that's my niche. That's who I work with, women that have diabetes, pre-diabetes, and have weight issues and alcoholic fatty liver disease. Those are the people I work with. I can work with anybody, but I'm excited. And Miss Emily, she works with women's health issues. And so I'm so excited for her to be here. And so without further ado, we're going to start our show today. So Emily, can you just tell us where you're from, a little bit about your background, where you graduated, if you're married, kids, and we'll just start off that way, okay?
Okay, great. So yeah, I am from a tiny little town in the middle of Utah. It's so tiny that we have chickens in the backyard. I actually live in the town I grew up in still, but tiny. It's not unknown to see a cow wandering down the street. That's where I live. And grew up here. I moved to the big city of Salt Lake in Utah, met my husband, and then after many years of trying to have children, I was diagnosed with PCOS. And the unfortunate thing is when you have PCOS, well, first of all, it's hard to diagnose. And I actually had some doctors say, yeah, you have it. And others say, no, maybe you don't. And they run different tests. And it's all very frustrating. So, and the main thing that they tell you to do is go on metformin, which is a diabetic drug, very well, I'm sure. And then also lose weight. But never once did I have a doctor tell me how, because the problem with PCOS is it makes it so difficult to lose the weight. Your hormones are so out of whack that it hangs on. Anyway, several years of infertility and trying to lose the weight, had conventional ways, many different diets. I was actually able to drop just enough that I had a very huge surprise and got my beautiful daughter. And then she was the biggest surprise in my life because we had written it off at that point. Can't get pregnant. And then I kind of started to realize what I had done. And so when we wanted another one, I was able to shift my eating enough. I still didn't understand entirely what I had done, but I was able to shift enough to drop a little bit of weight because, of course, I gained it back in pregnancy, you know. And then I got my second little miracle. And it wasn't until she was about a year old that I was miserable in my body. I gained the weight all back, of course. And I had just a moment where I got out of the shower and I looked in the mirror and I just cried. And I knew I could not be that person anymore. I couldn't feel that way about myself anymore. And so I decided to ditch all diets and all the calorie counting and the points and all those things and just find out what actually was healthy. And so through that, I found IIN, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, which I know you went to as well.
Yeah.
And I graduated from there in 2015. And ever since then, I've been helping women to lose weight and really with a focus on PCOS and hormone balance and fertility issues.
That's amazing. You know, I was telling Emily before the show, probably from the onset when I first, got my periods, I was so sick. I mean, I would have to go home from school. I would be passed out. Hello, Miss Amy. Let me shout out to the people that are watching right quick. I've got Amy. Hello, Amy. You are just beautiful. I've got Stephanie on today. I've got my friend Marlene. She's in California. Christy, McKenzie, Laurie graduated from, Carly graduated from IIN as well. And I've got Crystal Martinez on today. Thank you everybody for coming on. So this is an important because when I was growing up, I had horrible periods. We were passing out. And at the time, my teachers would think I was just faking, trying to go home. I would throw up. I would have the most horrible cramps. And I was sick. And at one point in time, they thought I might have some ovarian cancer at 19. And at the age of 19, they told me I probably may not be able to have children. And, it was horrible. And so I had a little surprise too. I was 29 years old when I got my surprise because I didn't think I was going to be able to have children. But I had my son. I got pregnant at 29 and had my son. And then I had fibroid tumors and all of that. So it was horrific. So tell us some of the symptoms that you see with the PCOS.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, one thing that I thought about as you were saying this is a lot of the medical industry doesn't understand that a woman's period, we're kind of taught that stuff like it happened to you, the heavy periods, the cramps that just make it so hard to do anything and they make you sick. We're taught that that's just kind of normal and some women just have it that way. When really our periods are it's like a thermometer, right? When you take your temperature and it says 102, that's a problem. Something's going on. When your period's out of whack, that's a problem.
It is.
Yeah. So for PCOS, a lot of the symptoms are your periods are not at all regular. Some women with PCOS can go years between having periods. Some
Me
women
too. I did that.
Yeah. And sometimes you'll go a few years without one and then you'll bleed for like 2 months straight. And so it's just this weird. And I think that's part of why they have a hard time diagnosing it is because it's not just, oh, you're missing periods all the time. That means PCOS. Any menstrual irregularity could be PCOS.
Yeah, I know because I would bleed so heavy that I didn't have periods for months. And then as I got older, I would bleed so heavy that I couldn't go anywhere because I was afraid I was going to bust to just blow everywhere and wearing almost like diapers. I mean, it was really horrific and embarrassing. And so, but they never told me I had PCOS. I don't know if anybody out there can identify with that, but no doctor ever said that to me. Never.
You're definitely not alone. There are so many of my clients and women that I talk to who say, wait a minute, this is what's going on. Why didn't anyone tell me? And for some reason, this PCOS has been I don't know. Why can't we understand this? And when you look at the symptoms, it's really not that hard to nail it down and say, you know what, you probably do have it. And we have this amazing plan that can work, that can help you. And it all revolves around food. And I think that's why a lot of doctors have a hard time with it, is because doctors are not actually taught nutrition classes. We're taught that when we are going on a new diet plan or something like that, we're supposed to talk to our doctor first. Doctors are amazing. Don't let me say anything, but they're not taught nutrition.
No.
So we need to get our nutrition advice from someone who has learned nutrition.
Right.
But yeah, so other symptoms that go along with PCOS too are hairs. Like we in the beard spots, you know, when you have hormonal acne, especially where a man's beard would be, and it's like really big and cystic and hurts, that's a huge sign of PCOS. I had horrible, awful acne for a very, very long time. Let's see. I know I'm forgetting something. Hair thinning is a big symptom as well. And I think but the main ones are the menstrual irregularity and the inability to lose weight. You usually have some extra poundage when you have PCOS because your hormones are out of whack, and it's so hard to get it off. So much harder than, I don't know, just this simple thing people throw at you that eat less, move more. That doesn't work for PCOS.
No, it will not.
Yeah.
So there's thinning hair. Does bloating come with that as well too?
It can. There's a whole bunch, again, where people have not really gotten down to the nitty gritty of what PCOS is. There are a whole bunch of symptoms that they say could be part of it, but they haven't necessarily said yes for sure. Like, yes, for sure, the weight gain and the menstrual irregularity. But there's just this whole bunch of others that they say, well, probably, constipation or other digestive issues can be part of it, especially at different times in your cycle. Yeah, there are so many.
Do we know where it originates from? Is it just something that we're born with when we are as females, or as, or does it develop over time? Most young girls, start their periods at 12 or 13, and they may start having those symptoms as early as that. How does it start? Where's the origination of it?
That is yet another unknown. There are ties that show it's completely genetic. There are studies that show, nope, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those things. I know that me and both of my sisters have it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, but I don't believe that my mom did. So it's one of those things that it's hard to know. But when you look at the way that our hormones work, it is, so I'm going to go down the blood sugar path, which you'll appreciate because you know this. When you look at the way our hormones work, it's kind of like when you go to an emergency room at the hospital. If you go with, and you can't breathe, you're going to be a higher priority there at that emergency room than someone who shows up with a broken leg, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Your body works the same way with hormones. If it needs certain hormones, it's going to make them prior to others. So what I mean is cortisol, our stress hormone, is number one. If we're feeling stress, our body is going to focus on making stress cortisol before any of the other hormones. And that's what it's going to work. Because, biologically, if we needed to, everyone says, if you need to run from a tiger, right? We needed that little jolt of energy just in case. The problem today is that we are making so much cortisol just because life is stressful, and our body doesn't understand that it's not tigers. I don't need cortisol right now. But anyway, so cortisol's number one. He's first priority. Insulin is number two. So if you have a Pop-Tart for breakfast, right? Your body is focused on insulin. And then let's say you have ice cream for lunch. And I mean, this is extreme. Hopefully no one does this. But let's say you have ice cream for, Some people do. You have ice cream for lunch and you have like a big thing of French fries for dinner and basically things that keep your blood sugar high all day.
Mm-hmm.
Your body's working so hard on insulin that it
Mm-hmm.
can't look at your other hormones quite yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're still the broken leg waiting in the emergency room while the people who can't breathe are rolling in. So after the cortisol and the insulin are taken care of and it doesn't have to worry about those, that's when your body can switch to your reproductive hormones. And that really makes a lot of sense. If you're living in a high stress environment where you're not getting the nutrients that you need and the proteins and the fats and the things that keep your blood sugar down, if you're living in that kind of an environment, your body naturally says, oh, this is not a good place to bring a child into.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
environment is not good. These reproductive hormones are secondary. So really, with the way that our kids are being raised these days, they're given junk food from the moment they're little. You go to restaurants and the only options for kids are like the dinosaur shaped chicken nuggets and French fries and like nothing healthy. So their poor little bodies are already starting out in this state of distress and in this sending signals that this is not a good environment. We can't even work on the reproductive hormones yet, even though they're just little kids, right? So that's my belief of where it comes from is our food system and all the processed foods that are out there. If we can the sooner you start fixing the food system and getting your body working correctly and showing it, no, this is a nice environment to come into. We have the food that we need. We can nourish ourselves. The hormones and get the blood sugar in balance because that affects everything.
Everything.
Yeah. People think that's a diabetic conversation. No, that's a human conversation.
It's a human because even though a lot of people are diagnosed with diabetes, but if you're eating a lot of junk and then you go check your blood sugar and you can tell that it's up or down sometimes and you'll see that your blood sugar is heightened. And so if you continue eating that way, you are going to get to be pre-diabetic and diabetes. And so, yeah, I've told some of my clients you should check your blood sugar regularly just to make sure that you are not in that area where you could, start potentially having some real issues with diabetes or pre-diabetes. So
I agree. That's wonderful. Yeah.
So as women age and we get to the menopause years, I had a hysterectomy at 43, which put me directly into menopause. But you know what? If I had known that I had PCOS, I probably would have changed my diet sooner, changed my whole life sooner. And unfortunately for me, I had to wait till I was basically on death's door to change anything. And unfortunately, that's what happens to a lot of us. We wait till we are just so sick before we make those changes. So women that I say between okay, so most women, we start the menopausal road at what, 30-ish, 40-ish, till we about 60 or so?
Yeah. And there are really quite a few things that you can do to keep your hormones in balance as they shift.
Okay.
Which is something that, again, just a little rant for a moment. Most of the things that we are taught about food and about health and all of those are based on eating the same things every day and, doing the same activities every day, things like that. And it doesn't take into account the fact that women's bodies are shifting throughout the month. And then as we go on into menopause throughout our lives, right? It shifts. And we have a couple of different rhythms that we need to think about, we need to be aware of. So, but that shift into menopause, there are a few things I definitely absolutely avoid soy, especially processed forms of soy. Like if you're going to eat fresh edamame a little bit, you're fine, right? If you're eating very processed soy products, soy oil, all those things all the time, it is an estrogen. What is it called? Why did that name fall out of my head?
Disruptor, isn't it?
Yes, thank you. That's the word. But yeah, it gets in the way and your body can't quite figure out how to keep that going, or what it's supposed to do with all of the soy. So that's an important thing. And then also really blood sugar balance is so huge.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I teach my clients blood sugar balance is just this simple. If at every single meal you're having protein, a healthy fat, and you're having lots and lots of greens and lots of fiber, and I'll talk more about the greens and the fiber in just a minute, but that's what keeps you steady. And when you allow your body to calm down from the stress and the insulin production and just let it do what it was supposed to do, what it wants to do. Your body wants to heal. It wants to be whole.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you get out of its way by keeping the blood sugar balanced, it just miracles happen. So there's that. The fiber. Your body gets rid of excess hormones, especially estrogen, through your waste products, right? So if you are not getting enough fiber and it's not getting out of your body, it can actually, the estrogen and the hormones can be reabsorbed in your intestinal tract, and that sets things into more imbalance. So you need to make sure that you are getting enough fiber, that you're having a bowel movement at least daily, and it needs to be easy and comfortable. This is like weird stuff to talk about.
We talked about that. I can't remember her name because I have the young lady that was on last week, Carrie. Our whole conversation was about going to the bathroom and constipation, and so yes, it's a little bit, people don't want to talk about it, but if you're not getting enough fiber and drinking enough water, and you're not filling your body with good foods, you're gonna get stopped up. You're not gonna go to the bathroom. You're putting your body in stress.
Yes.
Your hormones are getting out of whack. Your insulin's going up and down. I mean, it's just basic what you're asking, what you're talking about. So yeah, we had this conversation a couple weeks ago.
I figure anyone who's tuning in to, hear a talk about periods and stuff. Yeah, this is probably pretty familiar. So yeah, let's see, what else there are just so many things that come along when you are feeding your body whole, real, clean foods. So I think that's the biggest thing of all, is cutting out the processed foods, making sure you're eating a lot of just super fresh, really good, clean food.
And that's me and you, that's what we preach to our clients. That's day number one. And so, and I know it's hard to make those switches, but I'm sure you, like me, we do start a little bit at a time, and then people will start getting better. If anybody has any questions, please post your questions. I have Shannon on, I have Chris, my friend Clarice from Phoenix has joined. I have Barry on. I have Megan on. Janelle is on. So we had quite a few people on today. So a lot of these women, they may be my age. I'm in my 50s, late 50s. But some of them may have daughters or granddaughters that are suffering with those horrible periods, that are infertile and things like that. So we have the things we're talking about. It can affect us and also the young women that are in our life as well. And so it hits everybody. So I'm glad people tune in, because you can help somebody else, or if you are part of a group. Hey there, Miss Clarice, how you doing today, my friend? And so, so as women, we and when we get into menopause, and our periods stop, but what happens to our bodies at that point?
At that point, you actually go from you're familiar with the circadian rhythm, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so as humans, we have our circadian rhythm, which is a 24-hour cycle based on the sun and things like that. As women, we have one that we don't talk about very much called the infradian rhythm. Yeah, it's brand new science that's coming out that I'm so excited about, and it just resonates so true. But it's basically that we have this secondary cycle that fits in with our periods, right? Where during the part of our cycle when we're menstruating, our energy is naturally lower. Our calorie needs are up. We especially need iron and things like that. And that's actually a great time for introspection and things like that. Anyway, I could talk about that for hours, but different times of our cycles, we have different things. When we shift into menopause, we actually go back to just having the circadian rhythm. And that's actually what men do every single day. They just go off the circadian rhythm. Like their energy is highest in the morning, and that's when they're ready to like go and do things. And then like toward afternoon, they turn more towards, okay, let's get some work done. Let's do some things. That's why, typically, well, usually like around lunchtime, men do this like without thinking about it. That's when most meetings are scheduled, is like right after lunch. Because that's when they're like more social and things like that. And that coincides with a part in our cycle when we are ovulating, we're more social. We have more energy. We have more anyway, there's all of these ties. But when we go through menopause, we actually shift into just having the one rhythm. And that when you finally make it through menopause to the other side, it just, everything's more even. There is a tool that I really wanted to talk about that is good for all hormone balance. And I'm going to talk about it from, I hope you don't mind. I'll try and make this brief. But have you heard of seed cycling?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about it first as it relates to when premenopause, when we're cycling. And then I will tell you how to shift it to menopause and those who may have PCOS or something where their cycles are not monthly. So we'll do a little shift. But seed cycling, it's really, really simple. It's so incredibly powerful. It has helped me and several of my clients to get rid of the heavy, crampy, awful periods that just knock you out for a day. And now, like, I barely notice I'm on my period. So it's just a miracle. So simple. Day 1 of your period, you start taking 1 tablespoon of flaxseed, 1 tablespoon of pumpkin seed every day. Okay. And the flaxseed does need to be ground. I throw it in my morning smoothie. It's so simple, right? But if you get in 1 tablespoon of each of those every day for the next 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks, around the time you should be ovulating, if you're regular, then you switch. And every single day from then on, you do 1 tablespoon of sunflower seeds and 1 tablespoon of sesame. It seems ridiculously simple. And I've had people tell me that's not going to work. Like, it's too easy. And again, I just put all these things in my morning smoothie, except for the sunflower seeds. I like sun butter. And so I just eat that with a spoon. But so you do that every day, and then you do that until your cycle starts again, and then you switch back to pumpkin and sunflower.
Wow.
There are things within these seeds that the first part of your cycle is when your estrogen is highest, and the flax and the pumpkin help to regulate your estrogen. It does not increase or decrease your estrogen. It regulates it. So whatever you need, it gives your body what it needs to regulate that. And then same thing, the second half, a lot of the awful, awful period symptoms that people have is because of progesterone issues. You don't have enough, or you have too much or whatever. And the sesame and the sunflower, again, they just meet it in the middle and they regulate whatever you need. It helps your body to do what it's supposed to do. So it has just been a miracle for my clients, and it has regulated people who've been irregular. But if you are irregular and now you're thinking, well, or if you're in menopause, because this does help menopausal women as well, because again, it just takes your hormones and balances them out.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you do instead, and this is where I'm going to sound like the craziest hippie in the world, but it works. So it's fine. This is when you turn to the moon, because your moon cycles at about the same time that a woman does, right? It's about a month, and it's just an easy way to keep track. So the day of the full moon, if you don't have a cycle, count that as your first day of your cycle, right? 2 weeks later, switch to your sunflower and sesame. And then the next full moon, switch back. And just call yourself a werewolf if you want to, or whatever. Just if nothing else, it's an easy way to keep track of when to switch. And as long as you're doing that, your body will naturally fall into a rhythm and it'll be like, okay, I'm going to get what I need at this point, and I'm going to get what I need when I shift to this point.
So how long does it take for your body to get into that rhythm of that seed cycling?
It depends on the person. For me, when I started it, I was already eating very healthy things, and my period had gotten a lot better and was actually regular, but it was just heavy and painful and knocked me out for a day or two. It took me about 2 months for me to just, the third month I was like, what's going on? Like, something must be wrong. I'm not doubled over on a chair crying. Like, what's going on? So, but I've had other people where it takes more like 4 or 5 months, but it will gradually get better. And again, your period is like a thermometer telling you what's going on in your body. If it's getting better month by month, it's working. And
wow.
Yeah.
Do you have some information that you share, like a handout or anything that you could share with the ladies in my private group?
Sure. Well, I don't have one about seed cycling, but I should, huh?
You should. I mean, that's profound. I've never ever heard that before, but it makes sense. And especially as it goes with the moon. So, I mean, what you said to me, you know, I wish I had known that 30 years ago, almost 40 years, 40 years ago. I'm telling my age, but yeah, I wish I had, you know, something like that long ago. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. I'll make one about the seed cycling soon, and I'll get it.
That sounds really good. Yeah. And I'm going to do some research on that, because I wonder if that would even help some of the women that are dealing with, well, especially with my diabetic clients, because it probably seeds are great, period. Dr. Furman, that's all he talks about, those seeds. And so I bet it can level out a lot of things that are going on in your body, not just with your cycle, but getting your hormones in check. I'm going to do a little bit of research on that. I think that's good stuff. So
good. I'm glad.
Did anybody out there hear that? Does anybody have any questions? I have Ronisha on. Ronisha is the mother of my sweet grandbaby Hyro this morning, and I can't wait to see you and Ava soon. Kiss my son for me. And then I have Amanda on this morning. So we had a lot of ladies on this morning, and hopefully that if you didn't get a chance to watch it live, you come back and watch it. Tell your friends. This was a very, very important show, because not only are we talking about our cycles as when we're having our cycles, but how it progresses into hormones, keeping things in balance, adding good foods, you know, and those seeds, you know, that's going to make me do a lot more research on those seeds and how important those seeds really are and how they affect our body. So she said flax seeds, pumpkin seeds for the first 2 weeks.
Yes.
And then sunflower and sesame seeds. I do have a question. How is it when you don't have a cycle? So, you know, can you use, when, you know, some of us don't have cycles anymore, can you still use those seeds? Does it help us balance our hormones? Because we're not producing estrogen anymore, and our progesterone is out, and, and some of us may have more testosterone than we normally do, you know.
Yes, the studies that have been done on it actually show that it's beneficial even beyond. And I read one that said even men, and I haven't tried it on any men yet. I don't know. But if nothing else, seeds are super nutrition packed.
Yes, they are.
And any amount of nutrition you add to your diet is going to help you.
It will. I do flax seeds in my smoothies a lot. Yeah. I have a client that loves sunflower seeds. Maybe that's why she eats them all the time. She's addicted to them. So Tarina, if you're out there, keep eating your sunflower seeds. And so the sesame seeds, I cook with those sometimes, but I'm really, it may even help me to balance. I would imagine it might even help with some stress levels as well too.
Yeah.
Because when you're getting in balance, balance just things that you don't even know that you need balance with. I bet it just balances everything out.
Yeah. Yeah. And sesame seeds are incredibly high in zinc, which is great for immunity, which is on everyone's mind right now. So there's just so many good things that are in there.
Wow. Yeah. Well, since I'm on the shelter in place, I'm going to do some research on those because I started adding zinc to my diet,
Yeah.
iron, and things like that. So I'm always trying to do a more natural approach to wellness. And so if I can do seeds and nuts and things like that instead of taking medication, I don't mind doing the zinc and things like that. But if I can some of this stuff more naturally in my foods, that's even better. So anybody else have any questions out there? I'm going to check another part to see if we've got any more questions. I mean, Emily, thank you. This was a great show. We had a lot of people on,
Oh,
um, a lot of engagement today, and a lot of people on today. This was good. Just before we go, we're going to ask if anybody has any questions, but I appreciate you being on. I've been trying to get these shows to be a little shorter, so we're at 35 minutes, which we're good. So, Emily, do you have any parting words that can help us, any parting tips, I would say, to help us to get better with our balance and our hormones or our fertility or hormones? So give us 3 good tips that we could do.
3 good tips. Let's see. Narrowing it down. First of all, eat your fiber.
Okay.
Number 2, don't be afraid of fat. Just make sure they're healthy ones. We need them to make our hormones. And number 3, when you are eating healthy and trying to change your diet, do it because you love yourself and because you deserve it. There are so many people who do this because they try to feel like it's some kind of a punishment. Do it because you're worth it and you love yourself. That's a way to show love to yourself, to feed yourself nourishing food.
That self-love, that self-care is so important. And a lot of time as women, we take care of everybody else but ourselves. And I have like Rose, she's a new mom out there. And I know Ava is giving her, is zapping all her energy. And we have a lot of young ladies out there that have 2 or 3 kids, but that self-love, that self-care, it's so important to make time for you to take care of yourself, because then you'll wake up in your 50s like I was, and you'll be sick and almost nearly dead because you've taken care of everybody but you. And so I love that self-care and taking care of yourself. My motto that I use on my tagline is live your best life right now. Don't wait till later. Don't wait till you get older, but live your best life right now. And I'm going to add another tagline: love yourself right now and be kind to yourself. I know that during this COVID, some of us, we've been off track. We've been eating and not exercising like we could, and then we want to be down on ourselves, but don't be down on yourself. Love yourself, and comfort yourself. But this is a time to regroup and reset, and you'll be able to get back to where you were before. So I love your tips. Fiber, you get your fiber from your nuts and your seeds and your vegetables and your fruits, and good fat health, olive oil, avocados, coconut oils, nuts are going to give you good fats and proteins, and then love yourself. And so those were 3 great tips. I appreciate that today. Thank you so much for being on, and I'm just excited for you. So tell us a little bit more about your business. You work mostly with women's health, right? Most of your clients are women, what age? 30s, women for fertility, or more on the opposite end of that?
More of fertility, those people who are struggling with PCOS or other infertility issues, hormone balance. Usually it's those who are trying to become moms and are just struggling.
Okay.
So yeah. And you can find me, my website is healthbyemily.com. And I like to play on Instagram, Health by Emily A, if you want to come find me there. So yeah.
Well, I'm going to keep that in mind, because I don't mind sharing, because you have an expertise where I don't. So if I know of anybody that's trying to get pregnant, or they have grandkids, granddaughters that are trying to get pregnant, you would be the person I would send them to, because that's your expertise. And so if you know of any women that are dealing with diabetic issues or weight loss, or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, you can send them my way. But we're all here, we're all practitioners, we're all healers. We want to help the world and help people to get healthy. And I believe during this coronavirus stuff, this is an ample time to love yourself, value yourself, put time in yourself to get healthy, so that when the next pandemic comes, because another one is coming, don't get it It's coming. So we got to get healthy now. So get your fiber, get the good fats, love yourself, so that when the next pandemic comes, that we'll be all ready to go. So thank you so much, Emily. I appreciate it. I will put your website on. I will tag it with this video. You have a great website. I was on it. Very nice. And anybody that wants to get in touch with Emily, please do reach out to her. And I just really, really, really appreciate you being on the Sister to Sister broadcast on this Saturday. And so anybody you want to follow me on Instagram, Melisha Bailey, you can follow me on Instagram. I have my YouTube channel, Melisha Bailey. Everything's Melisha Bailey or Love for Life. I do have my private YouTube channel. If anybody wants to reach out to me and say they would like to have a free consultation, tell me. You can reach out to me on my website, or if you want to talk to Emily, we're here for you. This is a great time to get your health in order. So thank you so much, Emily. I really appreciate you being here. And I'm right at 40 minutes. I'm doing better. So goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you, Emily. What a blessing you were to the ladies in my group. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.